Hey everyone, this episode is brought to you by Santa Claus. What good Santa bait and switch is complete without the pitter-patter of Santa and his reindeer on your roof? In my opinion, no good Santa bait and switch is complete without it. That's why we invented Santa Claus. Santa Claus are shoes that you can wear that as you walk around the house through ventriloquist techniques, we throw the sound of your footsteps onto your roof and it sounds like a dozen reindeer and a very elderly fat man. This can be used other times of the year as well, maybe around Halloween if you make a haunted house and you need some spectral noises. This can be really effective there too. But your kids will be sold as you're eating the cookies and they think Santa's on the roof and he's walking around. Hopefully I wasn't naughty. Santa Claus. Santa Claus are another Donafart Industries innovation.
Hello, and welcome to The Critical Breakdown, the only podcast where we start at the bottom of Rotten Tomatoes and work our way to 100% fresh. I'm Max.
And I'm Scott, and today is a special Christmas treat to us and to you. We're talking Die Hard.
Die Hard. Die Hard.
Don't. Season's greetings.
Season's greetings.
We're here. It's
in front of the fire. We're sitting in front of the fireplace.
It's about 6:30 a.m. on Christmas Day.
Scott's drinking hot cocoa.
To prove it, everybody.
Santa just dropped by with presents. Got his milk and cookies.
Yep.
His diabetes-friendly milk and cookies.
Yeah, gotta watch out for old Kris Kringle.
It's been tough these last few years.
Oh, well, he's on the right road, I think.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, dude.
Merry Christmas,
I like
Scott.
the jammies. I like the Christmas jammies.
Thank you, Scott. I think the boxers only look is a little cutting edge, but it's Christmas.
You said wear my Christmas pajamas.
It's true. I did. That was what my email said.
Yeah. What have you been up to? What have you been doing to get into the season?
One thing I do to get into the holiday season is I listen to the Harry Potter audiobooks as read by Jim Dale.
Oh.
They're good. They're fun.
Yeah.
For some reason associate Harry Potter with Christmas.
I
think a lot of people do now.
Yeah, I think maybe because Christmas was in all of the books, right?
Yeah.
Is Jim Dale a name I should know?
He's a prolific audiobook reader.
Okay.
I think for the Deathly Hallows, he had a Guinness Book of World Records for the most unique voices within a single reading.
Wow.
Because it was like hundreds or something.
Sure.
And most of his characters, there might be similarities in how they pronounce things, but they most have like distinct voices.
Yeah.
I feel like I've talked about this before on the show. I'm not sure if
You've talked about, I think, some different audio plays and stuff. You talked about the Doctor Who. That might be what we're thinking of, but no, that's cool. So
I commute frequently for work.
Yeah.
So audiobooks come in handy.
So all through the month or Thanksgiving is that when we break out the old cassettes?
Around Thanksgiving. Yeah. I've just been trailblazing through them.
Is Thanksgiving your cutoff for when to start Christmas? The day after Thanksgiving?
It varies.
Line in the sand though. Line in the calendar? Where are you putting that?
I mean, traditionally, I grew up in a Thanksgiving after household.
Okay.
Halloween had its month. You build up to it. Thanksgiving has a month. You build up to it. Christmas has a month. You build up to it.
Sure.
But at the same time, I mean, if someone's feeling Christmas, if they really love Christmas and they don't care about any other holiday, why not?
You allow the pre-Thanksgiving.
I mean, I do.
Yeah.
Like, what if Thanksgiving just reminds you of dead Native Americans?
Whoa.
You know? If that's your case, you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, why not start Christmas early?
Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm not going to argue with them.
To each their own. I'm a December 1st boy. By Thanksgiving, I'm starting to prepare the Christmas playlist on Spotify. And then
Has that been a yearly thing, like since you were a kid?
Yeah, since I was a kid, I was preparing the playlist on Spotify. Now, I don't think we ever had like a hard date for it in my house. My dad's birthday is early December, so happy birthday, Papa T.
That kind of like ushers in Christmas then, huh?
Yeah, so I think we take a beat to celebrate Papa T's birthday. But after that is when we start to get Christmassy.
My brother's birthday is one day before New Year's Eve.
All right on. Another December baby.
So Christmas It took me a long time as a kid to stop being salty about him having like one extra gift or a couple extra gifts, depending on what it was.
Getting that extra special.
Because I didn't get it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then now I get it. I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. No. But I always thought people who had close to Christmas birthdays kind of got short of the stick.
You get shafted in some sense.
You don't get a full gift giving.
In the old Rivera house, usually my sister got the sweetest deal. She was a May baby.
That's the perfect middle. I was in April, so I had a good...
I'm a February baby, so... I'm like right at the end of paying off Christmas debt.
There's still Christmas memories though.
And there's still some there. So it's kind of like, and I'm like the same week as Valentine's. It's just write it off.
Yeah, write it off.
So, but I mean, Jesus's birthday was Christmas by some standards. So
you been watching anything cool?
I saw Rogue One.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about after Die Hard. You know why we're doing that? We're doing that for our fans, man.
We're talking about Die Hard?
We are doing that. But we're going to talk Rogue One afterwards because we're going to get a little spoilery.
Yeah.
And we want to give everyone the opportunity to abandon ship.
When you guys hear...
Here be spoilers.
That's when you know if you haven't seen Rogue One, just shut it off.
Yeah.
We don't mind. 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine.
We'll knock it out the park.
Yeah. And then once you do see Rogue One, come back. Listen to the rest.
We'll be here for you.
Yeah.
You can always find us. What about you? What have you been up to?
I've been trying to cross a bunch of movies off the 2016 list. You know, so then at the end of the year I can make a real full opinion judgment on what movies I like best this year. So I've seen a few. I saw Nocturnal Animals.
How was that?
It was okay.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's kind of like three stories woven together, and...
Do they come together, though? Do they come together?
No, but themes through them transcend one story and show up in the others. And one of the stories was incredibly compelling. The other two honestly weren't.
I did not know there would be multiple stories, because I thought it was just Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Who are the other stories led by? Are they all their stories, or...
So... I don't want to get too spoilery, but this is not the most recent release. Maybe I can just fire away. One of the stories is Jake Gyllenhaal and Amy Adams' characters, like histories, like looking back 20 years. One of the stories is Amy Adams' present. And the other story is the book that Jake Gyllenhaal wrote based on, well, not necessarily based on their relationship, but wrote after their relationship. So it bounces between all of those. And the book has a very different setting and everything, so you know very clearly when it's switching between them. Amy Adams in the past has shorter hair. Amy Adams in the present has longer hair. She's more elegant in the present, so you can tell the differences really easily. That wasn't a problem, but the book was very suspenseful and very thrilling. The book story, I guess. Mm-hmm. So that storyline was the best one for me. But it was good.
What setting was it?
So the non-book ones are like real life, and then the book it's also real life, but it's kind of like in a western town, and it's like a failed road trip, almost horror story kind of thing.
Is that where the whole like she tried to kill him thing comes in, or?
That doesn't exactly come in.
Okay. The trailer made it look like some kind of terrible thing she did.
Yeah. Something terrible does happen, but I'll leave that at least. I'll leave that.
Leave that. Just tease us.
But it was good. It was thrilling at parts. Other parts, it was like, I don't know why I'm still watching this. Like, there's literally multi-minute scenes, and multiple of them, of watching Amy Adams try to fall asleep. Yeah. Which I've done before, you know. But
this time it was legal.
Yeah. No, but it's just, that's not really compelling, you know. So, but it was good. And that's all loving. Me and a friend of mine went and saw it.
How was that?
We both enjoyed it. It was good.
Cool.
It was.
Did boy do good?
Yeah, Joel Edgerton was really good. I really like Joel Edgerton. He's a true ya boy.
Yeah.
And Ruth Negga was really good too.
Ya girl.
Yeah. But honestly, their performances are what carried it. The movie itself's pretty boring. It's very slow, and there's not really B plots or anything going on. It's just their relationship over time.
I heard there's a really good documentary based on it. You should check that
out. That
out.
doesn't surprise me, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's Jeff Nichols who did Midnight Special, and that's really good. We talked about that a couple weeks back, but no, it's really good. I'd give it like a B.
That's cool.
B plus.
B plus.
Nice visually, very pleasing.
I forgot to mention, I also started watching. I picked up where I left off on Brain Dead.
Oh yes.
I'd taken a break because I was burned out on politics. I'm still burned out on politics, but I can watch political satire again.
You're that much back in.
Yeah. So it's still fun. I have like one episode left. Unfortunately, it was not picked up for further seasons.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah, it had a good buzz. But I think
Not enough
I
viewers.
think running political satire during a political season that was basically satirical,
Yeah.
it just doesn't have the same effect that you want it to have.
Yeah, I think like next year it could have a better effect because it's in the aftermarket. You know, we're post election.
Yeah, if they get good numbers and can maybe do some other like one episode special or something, that could be cool. But
I guess they were competing against a real life political satire.
yeah,
So.
and a lot of the stuff just seems silly when you watch it. When you're like, their angle is it's like a space alien bug invasion kind of, and then in real life it's just like politics.
Yeah.
Being real, and you're like, oh, okay.
Too real.
That's why I stopped watching myself for a while, but I started up again, and it's enjoyable.
Good. But anyways, we're here for Christmas.
Here for Christmas.
So we watched our favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Is this your favorite Christmas movie?
It's up there.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick just one favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Because we have a couple favorites.
There's so many different flavors.
And there's some we disagree on.
Yeah.
For example, I like the movie Elf.
Yeah, and I don't.
And then you like...
I love Love Actually.
And I don't like that movie at all. And we both have a mutual like agreement to just not care that we both don't like those. That's the nice thing about Christmas movies is if certain people don't like them, you're like, cool.
That's how all movies kind of are. Some movies get a little more impassionate than others, but yeah, I mean, you like Elf, that's fine. Yeah. Not my cup of tea. I'll watch Love Actually. Where they drink tea often, because it's in Britain.
What's your favorite A Christmas Carol movie?
Muppet Christmas Carol.
Muppet Christmas. That's a big standard for our age group. A lot of people in our age group just adore that one.
We watched it last year again on Christmas, or maybe 2 years ago. It's whenever we have family in town, we watch a Muppet Christmas Carol. Yeah. Which is a weird way to do it. But my dad really likes the classic as well. Albert Finney, I think.
Yeah, I like the classic. I remember watching it as a kid, but it scared me for some reason. Yeah. I guess the ghost part scared me.
Some of the visuals are kind of scary, but it's good too because I watched it. I think for the first time either last year, 2 years ago with him, and it was good. Yeah, I
think I personally just have a soft spot for Scrooged, and I mean it's Bill Murray. Yeah, and I just remember that one. Like, I think my parents didn't want me to watch that one when it came out because it was like Bill Murray adult comedy. Yeah, not sure how dark it was. But it's also Christmas. It's not that bad. So. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I still like it. I think I picked that one personally just a little bit more than Muppet Christmas Carol. Sure. But Muppet Christmas Carol's grown on me.
Yeah. Muppet Christmas Carol's really good. Yeah. Did you see the one I think Robert Zemeckis did, like the animated one in the Polar Express style?
Polar Express? Yeah. Or the Christmas Carol.
The Christmas Carol one with Jim Carrey, I believe, is the voice.
Nah.
I didn't see it either.
It's in that stage of life where I'm kind of burned out in Jim Carrey stuff. Yeah. So.
And we're both young adults without kids, so there's going to be a point where we're going to go right back into that, I think, and then we're going to be in that market again, but we're in that mid-ground right now, I think. I think we can agree on that. But we watched Die Hard because would you say Die Hard is Christmas or tangentially Christmas?
I mean, I think a lot of people within our generation have pushed it from tangentially Christmas to Christmas.
Is that just because it's cool to do, though?
I don't know, man.
Because watching it again, Christmas isn't even that big of a theme of it at all.
It's a Christmas party movie.
It's not even a Christmas party movie. A Christmas party is like the hook.
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
But then I
mean, it's a violent action movie after that.
Once the plot kicks in, Christmas, it doesn't matter.
There's a couple moments where it matters.
Yeah, that's true.
The Ode to Joy.
That's true.
Yeah, and that's like one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, that is probably the best part of the movie.
I mean, I think it's tangentially enough where it works. Where if you tell people Die Hard's your favorite Christmas movie, they're like, sure. Yeah. I'm not going to fight you.
No need to argue it. What if someone said Iron Man 3 was their favorite Christmas movie?
I've only seen that one once, but I remember Christmas being there.
Yeah.
Hold on. That's that Christmas beer. We're going in deep today. So, the thing with these Christmas movies is you have some movies that seem they're Christmas classics. Miracle on 34th Street.
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. Then you have more weirder movies. Gremlins. It's kind of a Christmas setting. Yeah. But it's more of like a comedy horror film. Yeah. Then you have Die Hard, which, like you said, the hook is a Christmas party. Yeah. Let's talk about Die Hard.
Yeah. Max, you made that plot synopsis for Die Hard.
So basically, Die Hard is about Officer John McClane, who gets stuck in a hostage situation while he's visiting his ex-wife at her holiday Christmas party.
Yeah. Our terrorist here is Hans Gruber, a very classic movie villain, played by the late Alan Rickman.
Yes. The great Alan Rickman.
Yeah, he's a good actor. And he was really good here.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You might even think he's German if this is the only thing you saw him in.
And then his, like, very cheesy kind of American accent he does halfway through is great.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's just very, like, LA businessman kind of.
Yeah, and I remember his performance sticking out for me when I had first seen it. But I thought it was more nuanced than it actually was. He's pretty one note here. He's a terrorist who wants money, but he's just smart, and that's what makes the character so good.
He plays him very intelligently, for sure.
And it's a good play off of Bruce Willis's John McClane.
Yeah.
Because John McClane's very much an everyman. Yeah. And it's very refreshing in an age, especially today, that's pretty much action movies are exclusively superheroes at this point. They're either superheroes or it's like Gods of Egypt and nobody cares.
Superheroes, fantasy, or Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
And out of those three right now, I'm the most favorable towards Channing Tatum, strangely enough.
Yeah, that is strange.
And the thing is,
Jupiter Ascending had a big effect on you, didn't it?
Yeah, it really did. There was something special about like 80s action movies, even early 90s action movies.
Yeah.
There was just this weird Americana effect to them. It was all... Usually most of them are within a Cold War setting.
Yeah.
So that kind of plays in, I think, of the
early
big
80s,
macho Americanism.
Yeah.
And you don't get that as much anymore. Even with your modern action movies, even with your Fast and Furiouses, which are cool that they have like a multi-ethnic cast and they have all these things, but they don't have the kind of god-devil terms that a lot of these old films did.
Yeah. Look at Predator.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things is you take those other classic 80s action movies like Predator, Rambo, or any of those series, and then you compare them to Die Hard. Predator is Schwarzenegger, and Rambo is Stallone. And Bruce Willis does not compare to either of those guys. And that's what makes John McClane such a good character in my eyes. I mean, he's still a buff guy and everything in this, but he's barefoot most of the movie, and there's scenes where he has to walk on glass, and he's harmed by it, and he's shot, and he's obviously carrying the wounds, whereas the Schwarzeneggers and the Stallones seem invincible. Yeah. Even in Stop or Mom Will Shoot, which was a horrible movie, it still had that it's Stallone, he's a big beefy guy factor to it, and you don't relate to his character.
And I think that's something a lot of good action movies do when they're kind of steering away from that. Because we mentioned Lethal Weapon. Yeah, you have Mel Gibson, who's fit.
Yeah, but he's not.
He's not cut.
No one compares to the Governator and Stallone.
You have Danny Glover, who's just your older, distinguished kind of officer, and they both sell it. You have this. Bruce Willis sells it like he's a cop. You don't even doubt that for 1 second. My problem with Schwarzenegger is, why is this giant Austrian man doing everything? I love what he does, but at the same time, it's unrealistic.
It's different. Yeah. These kind of feel more grounded, even though this is kind of a crazy terrorist plot with floors of buildings blowing up and stuff. It's kind of ridiculous, but it still feels more real. The plot of this one, though, is really tight and it's really fast-paced. I would say this is a model that other action movies should follow.
Set it in one building.
Yeah, it's kind of like not Judge Dredd, but Dredd, the 2011 version that we watched with Carl Urban, where they bring the plot into one space and then they utilize the space really well. In that movie, they're climbing an apartment building, floors are dominated by different gangs, and they're all trying to kill Dredd. This one's kind of the same way. You utilize the floors of the building in construction, that comes into play. They utilize the setting really well. It lowers the sense of scale, which I think is big too, especially in the age of our superhero movies, where every single movie, it feels like, has been ramping up the scale. Like Suicide Squad, whatever city they were in, was being destroyed. And BVS, they destroyed that island and stuff.
Every action movie now, all these superhero movies, fantasy movies, seem to have a blue stream of energy going straight into the sky. Yeah. Tons of dirt clouds flying around. We've seen
pulling everything in.
Together, me and you have watched like 8 different movies with that plot.
Fantastic Four. Yeah. Suicide Squad, I remember, did it.
I mean, it's just everywhere. Yeah. So to step back to when action movies were just action movies, like a cop doing something, it's refreshing. It's fun. And that's one of the reasons this movie is so successful is it's not trying to be something else that it's not, which might be some of the faults that people take later on with further Die Hard films.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis has said he will be John McClane until the day he can't move, can't do his action
Stunts,
scenes anymore. That's cool. I respect that. I just wish the story was as compelling as the early Die Hard.
Yeah, I'd like a return to the roots with this Die Hard. I mean, I think the first 3 Die Hards all kind of maintained that scale.
Brand.
Yeah, the brand. And then when we got into the 2000s, it lost sight of that, and it became the big action movie. I remember the one with Justin Long and Timothy Olyphant might have been in it. Maybe. I can't even remember, honestly.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in that one, I'm pretty sure.
Live Free or Die Hard? Is that one?
Yeah.
Whichever one it is, it's just not, it doesn't feel like Die Hard anymore. Yeah. And that's a comment you can make about action movies now, because Die Hard did kind of set a mold like this.
Yeah.
So. I'd love if they did a Back to Basics movie. Well, you probably can't do it with Bruce Willis. But I
did hear they're doing a prequel, kind of like John McClane beat cop type of movie. They're developing it right now. Don't know where that's going.
No.
But that could be interesting. If they keep it a small story, if it's him like at a bank robbery, trying to stop it.
Ooh, a Die Hard heist movie?
That'd be cool.
Sure. How do you do it with Willis, though?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
We joked about he could always play his dad.
Yeah.
There's things you could
do. And you have Justin Gordon-Levitt with his Looper makeup come in and play young him.
I don't know. But as far as Bruce Willis, I think they should just take it more back to basics. Keep him in one location.
Yeah.
Even with Die Hard with a Vengeance, it's kind of like they replaced the building in Die Hard with the city of New York.
Yeah.
And
which is still a big jump in scale,
it's a big jump, but
it's still small enough.
Regional.
Yeah.
That one's a revenge story.
Yeah. And the plot in that one isn't going to destroy the world. Yeah. It's still more personal.
It's get gold and then destroy John McClane.
Classic.
But I will say, my only major gripes with Die Hard with a Vengeance is they're supposed to be, I think, on the George Washington Bridge, but it's really just the old bridge in Charleston before they built the new bridge, like Cooper River Bridge, maybe.
Okay.
And once you see it, if you've been to Charleston as many times as I have, you're just like, that's not New York. It all of a sudden switches to Charleston. It's like, to the rest of the country, probably to the rest of the world, they wouldn't even care. But
or
to
notice,
someone who's been to both New York a lot and Charleston a lot, you're like, nope.
I love that movie, and I'd never noticed that. But I also don't know what the old bridge looked like in Charleston.
I'll have to show you after this. Yeah. We'll watch it, see what we could find.
One of my favorite parts about it, because I'm well-spoken about how much I don't like action movies that much. Like I mentioned Rambo there. The Rambo series has never been one I'm very fond of.
Sorry, Joe.
Yeah. The over-the-top action, it gives me a headache at times. I get a little motion sick sometimes. But Die Hard didn't do that for me because it's very focused on kind of set pieces. Yeah. It's not like John McClane the whole time is running around shooting people. He's kind of going through vents in one scene, and then it sets up the scene in the unfinished floor where he's hiding from the one guard, and then he runs down to the other side, and they're kind of running around the plastic sheeting and everything. And then it sets up the elevator shaft scene, that sets up these set pieces that are all very satisfying.
He also has limited ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
He has to constantly switch guns, get new guns, look for more ammo.
Yeah, and they show him doing that, and it's little touches like that just ground you into the movie even more, immerses you.
Yeah. And this is one of the few action movies I can think of where the main character will lose his clothes as it goes on, but it makes sense.
Yeah, like at first he takes his shoes off right away so he can sneak around, and then he just doesn't have shoes the rest of the time. And he even looks for shoes, though, and he mentions, like, why does the first guy I kill have to have the smallest feet, or like feet like a girl or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, those are nice little touches, too. I always like that in video games when throughout a plot of a video game or throughout as your character gets damaged, it shows on them, and it kind of felt like that in here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Ode to Joy scene. Describe that for our viewers.
Well, throughout the film, we see, I think his name was Theo, is working on some kind of high security lock. It has like 9 tiers to it.
Yeah.
And he's working his way through it, and then the whole time, Hans Gruber is working on some plan where he's not worried about the cops. He wants the FBI there. Yeah,
there's this 9th layer of the lock that they don't know how to get through, but Hans has a plan.
Yeah. And so they get, 6, 7, 8. They're pushing through it. They're getting through all the locks. And Hans Gruber doesn't seem really that bothered by the fact that McClane is getting the police involved, getting all these other aspects involved. So when the cops finally do get involved, he's like, I'm not worried about the cops. I want the FBI.
Yeah.
And then I think they call and ask what his demands are.
Yeah.
And he just starts naming all these fictional but realistic sounding
criminals
/ terrorist organizations, freedom organizations, whatever you want to call them. He names all these like different groups that are all currently in prison, and is like, I want them freed, I want them freed, I want them freed.
Yeah.
Irish criminals, people from Saigon, Singapore, whatever you want to say. East German freedom people. And this gets the FBI involved because they're like, oh, well, this is terrorism now. Yeah. Once the FBI gets involved, they cut the power grid. The power grid getting cut triggers backup power, but also turns off the power to the lock, therefore unlocking the 9th level. Yeah. It opens. We see a bright light shine on our characters here, all of our antagonists. Yeah. And then we hear Ode to Joy play. Yeah. And they just show the hall. Yeah. It's a really cool scene. And the way they set it up, because like you mentioned, Hans doesn't seem that worried the whole time because they can hear John McClane talking to the cops. They can hear him back and forth over the radio. And he doesn't seem that bothered. And that's over the course of like the first hour of the movie. And then it all pays off in this one scene going back between Hans, the FBI, and the drilling. So that's a really cool payoff scene. Yeah, another cool scene for me is when John McClane just blows up the whole floor of the building there. One of the first thugs he killed had their C4, which was part of their plan, was to blow up either that door that they ended up utilizing the FBI for or something else. And so John McClane just has this C4. And at one point, he literally just goes like, well, fuck it, I'm going to blow up a floor. And then he does. Yeah. There's a lot of moments like that where John McClane legitimately just says fuck it or fuck you and stuff like that. And it also makes his hero more relatable because he's not shiny and perfect. He smokes throughout the movie. He finds cigarettes on dead people and smokes them. Yeah. I really like that. He plays the whole idea of a New York cop very well. Yeah. Somebody who's just kind of done with it, done with the whole scenario, but he knows he's stuck in it. Yeah. Part of the big issue here is he still has feelings for his ex-wife. And she's one of the hostages. She's one of the hostages. The reason they got divorced seemed to be she wanted to move to LA for a good opportunity. He wants to stay in New York. He's a New York cop. So she comes out. He stays. Yeah. Then he shows up for Christmas because he wants to see the kids. She's being pretty nice to him. Yeah. There's this like real gross business guy, very 80s LA business guy. He's wearing the big suit. Yeah. He says the word bubby half the time. He's just gross on different levels. Yeah. And he plays a good role in it because he gives information. He shows up to Hans Gruber. He's like, I got the secrets you want. Yeah. And they make you think he's selling out the ex-wife. Yeah. And instead, he's just like, I'm his good friend. Yeah. I had him show up. And so you use me. Yeah. And so John McClane the whole time is like, don't do this, man. He's going to kill you. Don't be stupid. He's like, he's not going to kill me. Yeah. He's like, we go way back. And then for some reason, John McClane says like, yeah, I don't know this guy at all. Or the douchebag says like, yeah, I don't actually know John, but what does it matter? Yeah. And then they just kill him. Hans Gruber just kills him right there. Boom. And that's the second time that actually happened, and it raises the stakes a little bit because right at the start, when they first take the building, the floor of the building, they kidnap the boss of whatever company this is. I don't remember his name. It might be Mr. Nakatomi because it's Nakatomi Plaza. But they take him and they're kind of interrogating him. They're trying to get these codes from him, and he doesn't know the codes, but they just kill him anyways. And you don't expect it. You expect him to be kind of like an elevated hostage almost, where John McClane's trying to save him, and then boom, they just blow his brains out right away. So that is another way where you're like, yeah, Hans Gruber, he means business. For sure. And this was a good movie as well. One part I liked about this movie was it brought Gruber and McClane together. At first, they're just talking over the radio or just find McClane. I got to find Gruber. But then Gruber's looking for McClane and they interact. And that's when Alan Rickman does that American accent. And it looks like he's tricking John McClane into believing that he's one of the hostages. And then John McClane gives him a gun and he's like, protect yourself, like come with me. And then as soon as Hans Gruber tries to shoot him with it, it's not loaded. So McClane was one step ahead. And that's just, it's one of those things where you've seen McClane be crafty by this point, so you completely buy it. Had this been a Schwarzenegger movie where he's probably done everything right the entire time, it wouldn't land as well. Yeah, and you've seen McClane go through some shit, but also be lucky the entire time. Like when he jumps across that shaft and just he falls like 15 feet, but then barely manages to
catches
grab
the next
something.
vent. Yeah.
Stuff like that brings you up to the moments where he actually like really succeeds at something, and it works. It works really well.
He has to rely on being kind of clever too, whereas it wouldn't make sense for the Schwarzenegger to do that move because none of his characters have like nuanced strategy in there. Like Conan the Barbarian wasn't doing like a stealth mission or anything like that, but John McClane, it's very realistic for him to behave that way. We haven't even really talked about Christmas that much, other than Ode to Joy. And that's kind of what makes it such a good movie, where you can watch it on Christmas, still get enough of your Christmas spirit in there, with the Christmas party, with the big Ode to Joy scene. Some of the other music was Christmas themes kind of in the background. But it's not overbearing. It doesn't... Like, It's a Wonderful Life is a good movie, but it's very... You can't watch It's a Wonderful Life in June. Yeah. Because it's so Christmas.
That'd be weird.
Yeah. Whereas Die Hard, you can watch it in June if you want.
Another good thing about this film is that one of the co-stars is Reginald VelJohnson.
Yeah. He plays Al. Police Sergeant Al.
And the whole sequence of getting introduced to him, his character Al, is very funny. Yeah. He's just kind of a desk jockey cop who's on his way home, but he's the closest cop to this scenario. They've pulled the fire alarm. Well, McClane's pulled the fire alarm to trigger the cops. That was ruled a false alarm, and then he manages to get somebody on the walkie-talkie. Yeah. And they're like, this is a secure line. Get off of this. And he's like, help. Yeah. So they're like, we'll send someone out. It just sounds like pranksters. But we'll send someone
they're like,
out.
We'll just send one car out.
So they send what's arguably not the best cop in that sense, but he was a good thinker. Yeah. He was good on his feet, good at like talking through the situation. So it's a really funny scene. He goes up, he checks the lobby. Yeah. There's
nothing in the lobby. They're all up on like the 30th floor.
Well, the terrorist who is on that floor, he's like, we're just watching the game, man. And he manages to like kind of deter him. Bruce Willis as John McClane, he takes a body. You don't really see what he's doing with it. He throws it out of a window, and it lands on the cop's car. Yeah,
to signal him.
The terrorists see what's going on. They start shooting the car. He just goes in reverse. Yeah. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, if you watch it, it's actually pretty frightful. He's just going in reverse. You're like, is he dead? Yeah. What the hell's going on?
He goes like over a wall or something, and he's okay, and that's how the cops end up getting in. But then throughout the rest of the movie, Sergeant Al is the voice talking to John McClane. He's not honestly helping that much.
He's keeping him calm.
He's keeping him calm, yeah. They're talking about like their personal lives and stuff.
But he is the one who's able to figure out that John is a cop at this point. Yeah. John hasn't disclosed that to anybody.
And no one else is super convinced for most of the movie. They're like, he could be one of the terrorists trying to trick you.
Because he's doing things like throwing bodies out of windows.
It's fair.
It was a terrorist body.
Yeah. But then at the end, they meet and they recognize each other's voices and they hug and stuff. So it was kind of a nice moment. And I recognize his face from other roles where I also think he plays a cop, but I honestly can't put a finger on it.
He is in Family Matters as...
That's right, Family Matters.
Carl Winslow. Yeah. Who is a cop in that show.
There you go.
He's pretty much been only a cop in things. Yeah. And, I mean, that kind of works because he had a lot of 80s and 90s roles. And, I mean, with race politics and film and all that, having a kind of lovable, large black man play a cop kind of just works for the roles that he played. Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of get it why he was in everything. But,
it was comfortable.
Yeah. But no, I mean, if you see him, you think of him as a cop, probably no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why he looked so in place. The climax of the movie is very satisfying, too. There's a moment where Gruber and McClane are kind of facing off. This is before McClane gets out of the building. And he pushes Gruber out of the window, right? Or like kicks him. I forget how. But Gruber's falling out, but he's holding on to his wife, and so Gruber's hanging out of the window, holding his wife's arm, and John takes off her watch, and he falls, and his face is just like pure terror as he falls.
The funny part is that sleazy businessman I mentioned earlier, he went out of his way to say she just got a Rolex for being such a good worker.
Oh, okay.
Referring to the wife, the watch.
Yeah, got the wife, the red herring.
And it's more of a Chekhov's gun almost, where you that's the thing in filmmaking where if you mention something, you have to use it. Yeah. And that comes from the idea of a gun being on a wall. If there's a gun on a wall in a scene, like a rifle on a wall, if that rifle isn't used, it's a waste of space. Why is it there? Yeah. So they mentioned this watch. She got this Rolex, and it ends up helping because that's what he's hanging on to off of her arm, pulling her out. They take off the watch, the Rolex. Yeah. He's dead.
Boom.
It's good stuff.
It's good stuff. And the movie, I mean, it's a standard length movie, 2 hours, but it flies by.
Yeah.
You're never bored. Action movies have that trouble where sometimes they just go all balls to the walls action, and usually I turn it off. But other times, an action movie like this, it's mixing those character moments, building your characters, building your villains, building your ensemble with those action moments. And finding the right balance is important. Because if you have a lot of action up front and then less in the middle, it's hard to keep the pacing going that way. But Die Hard's perfect throughout. It's not too long in the beginning. It gets you into the action pretty quickly. But you know who John McClane is well enough by that point. It's very fun. We haven't even mentioned Argyle, my favorite supporting character. Argyle is John McClane's cab driver, or limo driver, when he first gets there. And then he's waiting in a car outside the whole time this is happening. But he's got headphones on and he's listening, he's blaring the music in the limo.
He also spent some time on the car phone talking to his girlie.
Yeah. So he's not paying attention to anything, and he's oblivious to the terrorist activity happening until the end of the movie, when he sees some of the terrorists trying to get away in some like unmarked van, and he just rams the limo into them. So
it's Theo the hacker too.
Yeah, it's Theo. Yeah. Argyle v. Theo.
Yeah.
And I said Theo. I said I was going to like Theo. He was going to be a good guy. Because the first scene of the movie, he's talking about the NBA. He mentions James Worthy, former member of the Showtime Lakers. So I was like, I like that guy.
I like that guy.
And then he kills someone right away. He's like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah. I spoke too soon.
What can you do? But that's Die Hard. Watch it. It's very good.
If you haven't seen it, it's kind of an institution.
Yeah, I agree. It's
Christmas
one of my favorites.
or not, it's like...
Yeah.
It's up there. You gotta love Die Hard.
Agreed. I think that's going to wrap up our Die Hard portion.
Which means...
So after the music, we're going to jump into Rogue One.
Music?
Yeah, we'll put some music in there.
Okay. Die Hard. Die Hard.
Die hard. Die hard. Die hard.
It's not that much better.
It's not good. Neither of them are good. All right, so let's talk Rogue One. Here be spoilers you heard it. Listen if you don't want it spoiled.
Rogue One.
What'd you think?
Just right off the bat, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very fun film.
Yeah.
I thought it was the right amount of dark for a war story.
Yeah.
There was some bits of humor that I liked, but here and there, it was too close to the dark action scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have been better saved for different parts of it.
Sure.
But overall, I really liked it, man.
Yeah.
What about you?
I agree. I liked it quite a bit. It's a very fun movie, like you said. The last act, like the third act of the movie, is just incredible.
Yeah, just bonkers.
It's totally bonkers, yeah. And there are some scenes that are going to be really iconic, I think, moving forward, too. One of the ending scenes, which we'll get into. I like that it builds the Star Wars world more. We see more of the Empire. You don't really see any of the Empire in the original trilogy. All you see is just taking down the Empire, but you see some of the back end stuff. Yeah. That's kind of cool. The action scenes were really good. I thought the performances were all pretty good from our main ensemble.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fan service moments, which it's kind of a double-edged sword, because if you're a fan, I think they're very satisfying. But if someone's jumping into Star Wars with Rogue One, which is almost an impossible thing to consider because it's such a movie empire now, but if someone's jumping with Rogue One, there's some things that are going to seem weird or out of place. Like Tarkin is in the movie, but he's CGI the whole time, obviously. And for someone who didn't maybe see A New Hope, that's probably kind of weird. Yeah. You're probably thinking, why is this guy CGI?
Yeah, when he was in the shadows and a reflection at first, I was like, wow, that looks amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good CGI. Yeah.
And then when he turned around, there was just a couple moments where they just rested too long on his face.
Yeah.
It's like they wanted you to enjoy that it was Tarkin.
Yeah, they wanted you to enjoy that it was Tarkin. It's quality CGI, but it hits that point of the uncanny valley, which I think we've talked about before, but where it's just so close to real, but it's just a little off, and it bothered me at times. But like you said, when he's like facing away from the camera or in the shadows, it's a lot better. But the way the light kind of reflected off his cheeks,
the other CG character within the film, at the very end, we see the young Princess Leia that we grow to know from A New Hope.
Yep.
Virtually in the same exact setting, on the same ship.
Yeah.
With the same droids.
Yeah.
And that CG was probably less than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
and it looked great.
Yeah, it doesn't linger long enough for you to notice any flaws or to become unsettled by it.
And you're kind of so amazed at the fact that they did it. You knew you wanted them to do it.
Yeah.
But you're so amazed by the fact that they did it that you're just like, yes.
And there's a suddenness to it though too. Yeah. So at the end, let's just talk about the ending since we're already here. The end of the movie, it's this suicide mission to retrieve the plans for the Death Star. Yeah. And they're on the planet
with the plans,
with the rebels, with the plans. That battle's going on. Then there's this huge space battle on top of that. Darth Vader shows up and he says, "Get me on that ship. I'll take care of the plans. They won't go anywhere." Yeah. He goes on the ship, and the best scene of the movie for me, it's 30 seconds maybe of 8 rebels there scared shitless. And Vader, without breaking stride, just walks forward and destroys all of them. Yeah. And the guy in the back who has the plans is desperate to get out. They're trying to get him out, and then he hands the plans off. And Vader just kills everyone. And then it transfers into that Leia scene, which is the start of A New Hope. Yeah. And it's amazing. And then the movie just ends right there. When it ended, I was like, oh, wow, like that's the ending of the movie. Because usually there's almost an epilogue, like tying things up. But it just puts you right at the end of A New Hope. I actually really like that now upon reflection.
It's the best way they could do it, for sure. Yeah. And it's just, we have this story, like you said, the whole story is a suicide mission. Mm-hmm. They don't necessarily acknowledge that themselves as the characters, but they know that it's probably a mission
it's doomed.
It's either succeed or die.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that it is succeed and die until they're in it. But there's a lot of good stuff with that. I mean, you have the Imperial pilot, Bodhi.
Yeah, my favorite character.
He was definitely interesting. I really enjoyed him. What I liked about him was he wasn't like a dark guy who's trying to make up for his past. Yeah. He was kind of a dork. Yeah. But like he just really liked his job. It seemed like he was a good pilot.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing and he just had a conscience.
Yeah, he wanted to do the right thing.
It was realistic in that sense where we had, anytime you have somebody who switches sides, usually it's because of a moral thing. Sometimes it's because they know a better opportunity is out there, the more cynical ones. But usually it's you stop and you say, I can't do what I'm doing, so I'm switching sides. Yeah. To have that character, I think it added a good blend of both like logic and kind of heart to it. Yeah. Jyn Erso.
Yeah, our main character.
She was great, I thought.
Yeah, no, she was really good.
I didn't know what to make of her because in the first trailer they made her seem very spunky.
Yeah.
Very like, I'm going to do what I want.
And she was fairly spunky.
To a degree, but she was also a lot more logical.
Yeah.
She was willing to, like, immediately when they were like, hey, we'll get you freedom if you help us. She was like, sure.
All right, I'll help you.
Might as well. Yeah.
Yeah. When she was resistant at first.
Yeah. So.
We also have Donnie Yen, I believe is the name of the actor. Yeah. He plays a blind, he's not a Force user, but he's a Force believer.
Yeah. He's like a monk who protected the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
Now and with that being said, he's not a Force user, like you said. So he's just like a acolyte.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, a zealot.
Yeah, and with the Empire taking over and shutting down all Jedi beliefs, he kind of hangs around the old Jedi Temple.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a role anymore.
Yeah.
It kind of touches on the religious side of the Force, I guess.
Which was cool, I thought.
The spiritual side maybe is the right way to put it. It was cool. He says throughout the movie, I'm one with the Force is with me, I think. Yeah. Is that the line? And then he has a friend as well who I honestly didn't ever catch his name.
No, but he was cool.
He has a machine gun blaster, long hair. Yeah, so they had a lot of dialogue together. Donnie Yen looked like he could have been using a lightsaber, though. He was beating people up with a stick.
You could tell he practiced like the moves, which was cool.
Yeah.
And it was just, I really enjoyed that he had these beliefs without the powers. Yeah. I think it really expands a lot on what the prequels kind of diminished with the whole midichlorian stuff, with the science side that Lucas tried to bring in. The good thing about Star Wars is always there's that tiny bit of science, but it's mostly just magic.
It's like, there's like a balance to it. It grounds in both spiritual side and a scientific side.
So taking it back to that kind of, and also by this point, I mean, the Jedi are all but extinct, so it does add more mysticism to it. Yeah. It adds to why the Rebel Alliance is always like, may the Force be with you. Yeah. It's
even without
just,
Jedi.
So it's something they believe in as a whole. Yeah. And it really adds to it, I thought.
Yeah. The worlds they went to are all pretty varied too. One thing I had that's bugged me a little bit about our main trilogy movies is it feels like they always go to like a sand planet and then they go to a lava planet a lot of the times. And there's always these similar planets. But here there was like a stormy planet, there was another sandy planet, and then a beach planet. And it changed the scenery enough that I was very satisfied with that.
And the one lava planet we did visit was, I believe, the same lava planet from before.
Mustafar?
I think that's because it didn't say the name at the bottom.
It did say, but I didn't notice that it was Mustafar. It could have been, and I just missed it. That would be weird, though, if Darth Vader... when they go to that planet, it's like Darth Vader's base, essentially.
Yeah, his castle.
Why would you want to build your castle at the place where you
hate?
Were torn asunder?
I looked this up, actually.
Oh.
Hate. That is the strongest moment in the dark side for him, because that's when he lost the love of his life with his unborn child's. That's where his best friend and him turned. That's where he fully embraced hate.
No.
So that is the darkest place for him. So that's where he like basks in the dark side.
Yeah, I guess I can't really relate to it as well because I'm not evil.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. But like the Sith, they
no, I get it.
On
that makes sense.
So.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff with Vader though, because before we see his badass action scene, we see him in a weird back to tank.
Yeah, he's like
scrubbing down.
He's like in a scrubby pool. It was gross.
It was gross.
He
but it made me feel for him in a way that I've never felt for Darth Vader, and while just thinking like, that really sucks.
It looked like what they did to make him survive was make him a big slug.
Yeah, and then put him back in his shell.
Yeah,
which adds to the hatred, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
I liked that scene. I like parts of that scene.
There was one line you hated.
There was one line. He breaks out a dad joke level pun that was out of place with the rest of the tone of the movie to me, and it bothered me. You liked the line; it was funny.
I thought it was funny. That doesn't mean I necessarily liked it.
I just don't see how it stays in the script.
For the record, my only defense for it was this is the same boy who said, "Are you an angel?"
Yeah,
this is the same boy who said, "I hate sand. It's rough and it gets everywhere."
Yeah,
unlike you. I mean, this is the guy who said like, in my eyes, it's the Jedi who are evil. Yeah. Like, of all the cheesy things
he's no linguist.
Said,
Anakin is no linguist.
He's never been known for it. So there's this point where he chokes one of the antagonists in the film using his force choke.
Ben Mendelsohn plays an officer who's...
Krennic. I think it's Director
Officer Krennic.
Yeah.
And he's showing off the Death Star, and they blow up this one city, and then Tarkin... CGI Tarkin is like, well, you know what? I'm taking credit for it, so that sucks. So then, this is kind of badass. He's like, all right, well, I'll go talk to Vader about it.
Yeah.
So he shows up and he's like, he's taking my credit. And then Vader's like, all glory belongs to the Empire, so don't worry about it. And Krennic's like, I'm still getting credit though, right? And so he starts force choking him. And he's kind of lecturing him. And then he ends it with this cheesy dad line to me.
Don't choke on your ambitions.
He had mentioned ambitions right beforehand.
Yeah. And so he chokes him and says it.
I think
it would have worked better had he not looked over the shoulder when he said it. It was a looking over the shoulder combined with a line for me that was just like, that's super cheesy.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I out loud groaned.
You might have.
Yeah.
I didn't notice, but
okay. I'm pretty sure I did.
I see it as like they were aiming for how Vader in, I think, Empire is like, I've altered ordeal. Pray and alter it further. Just like a threatening line like that.
Yeah.
I do think it kind of fell flat.
Yeah.
But for me, it was funny because I thought of Stupid Annie.
Yeah.
Still being Stupid Annie.
That's true.
So, I mean, there's a couple other gripes.
Yeah.
That could be said within the film, but
I think that scene could have been a little earlier too. Yeah. And then left you with a bigger gap between Vader, or you cut that scene and when Vader shows up, it's out of left field. He slices those guys up, and then it's total 100% badass. But I also did like seeing Vader's home, so I kind of go back and forth on that one.
I really enjoyed Cassian Andor, played by Diego Luna.
Yeah, right at the start of the movie, you kind of think he's going to be your protag alongside Felicity Jones. And then he just kills like one of his sleeper cells. Yeah, like a spy who is giving him information. He just shoots him. And it's like, dang, like this is actually pretty dark.
Yeah.
It set the tone.
You get it shortly, because right there it's kind of jarring. You're like, whoa. No. But then later on, when you see that he has like a bunch of spies that are all terrible people.
Yeah.
And when you realistically think of like a, rebellion forming within a greater empire, you're going to have to do some dark shit.
No, for sure.
And he's that character. And what's cool about it is he is that character who does the dark shit, but he willingly gives his life because to get the Death Star plans and then destroy the Death Star will kind of like not only make amends for all the terrible shit he's done, it'll set the universe right.
Yeah.
And so no matter how gray of a character you are, if you're fighting for something that's right,
You got to do what you got to do.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
And you got to do what you got to do. Exactly.
Yeah. He was a good character. I liked him. And he was along with a droid. I don't remember his call sign, but
like K2SX or something.
Who was like a reprogrammed Empire droid. And he was very funny. Part of the reprogramming, they said, made him say whatever comes to his circuitry. So he was like sarcastic throughout the movie and stuff. He was a good foil to him, and he was a very funny character. I enjoyed that.
And he had a very heartbreaking death almost.
Yeah.
Well, he did. When he gets shot
Almost.
at a console,
Yeah.
he's helping him. He's pretty much telling his best friend, like, hey, I'm gone.
Yeah.
You guys do what you got to do. But he's saying it, in droid speak and helping him, like, get this file.
Yeah.
I'll lock the door. And he's like, wait.
He's like, I'll lock the door, and then the power goes up, and they're like, what are you going to do? And he just says, climb.
Yeah.
And then the droid dies, and they have to climb to get this file. You mentioned his death. All the main ensemble dies.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I thought maybe if they were going to, quote, Disney-fy it, end quote, someone would have made it out, or all of them would have made it out somehow by the skin of their teeth. But they don't. They all die in battle.
Yeah.
Which was satisfying to me.
Most of the deaths are pretty satisfying. You have Bodhi, who dies accomplishing his goal of getting the connection together to get the signal out.
Yeah.
You have our Force monks.
On the ship, too, he does.
Yeah, on the ship. You have the Force monks who die believing in the Force. He kind of... When the blind monk dies... I'm just going to call them monks, because I don't got a better word for them. Fair enough. But when the blind monk dies, his friend with the machine gun kind of embraces what he's been putting off. Because they were both protectors of it.
Yeah.
And now he's accepted that the Force is real.
Yeah.
He kills a ton of troopers himself and then dies also.
Yeah.
And then you have Jin and Cassian.
Yep.
Who they go through this whole ordeal. They probably survive the longest.
Yeah.
And then they see that the plans make it to the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
And then they're just kind of left and they're like, come on, let's get out of here. But then you see the Death Star show up and you see it fire.
Yep.
And
I didn't know the Death Star. Well, I probably should have known this something, but it went into hyperspace there. And it just like zipped right to the front of planets. For some reason, I can't picture something that large doing that. But it just shows up on the horizon.
Yeah, I don't think they ever showed it in the original.
But trilogy. It makes sense when you think about it that it was all over the place.
Yeah.
So
because Yavin and all that.
Yeah.
But no, it was just cool. They what they do in this film, because one of the key parts that they had to skirt around for A New Hope versus this film was the exploding of Alderaan was the first time the weapon was fully tested.
Yeah.
So the way they circumvented that in this one was to have it just partially tested on cities.
Yeah.
Now that pretty much still destroyed the whole planet.
Yeah.
Because it makes like a giant meteoric explosion in the, the crust, and the whole world gets destroyed. So they do that twice in this film. The first time it was pretty freaking scary. Yeah. And the second time it almost looks like a 1950s nuclear
atomic
bomb explosion off in the distance
mushroom
on a beach.
Cloud and everything.
And Cassian and Jin just kind of embrace each other.
Yeah.
And wait for it to kill them because they know that they're stuck.
I was glad that it looked like they were about to kiss and they were going to bring the romance. I'm glad they didn't bring it in though. Their characters had a little flirty thing going, but the movie just didn't need that. And it would have tarnished the characters a little bit in my eyes if they brought that in at the end. So I'm glad they didn't.
They had affection, not romance.
Yeah.
Which really, I think, added to it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it built the whole time, too, because at one point, he was planning, because the Rebel Alliance told him, kill her father. Yeah. He built the Death Star, just get rid of him. Yeah. So that was his mission, and then he broke mission like twice because of it. Yeah. And she was upset when she found out. I think kind of rightfully so, but at the same time, she was kind of being rigid, understanding, hey, I'm doing what I'm told, and I didn't do what I was told. Yeah. So, but then they pretty much forgive each other once he's like, hey, I'll go help you destroy the Death Star. Yeah. So. Yeah.
No, it was really, I mean, there's a lot more we could talk about, but I don't think we need to go every single piece. Like, it was cool to see Mon Mothma and the rest of the rebels. The way they brought it into the beginning of A New Hope with the Death Star plans. A lot of people talk about how, having that vent, like, that doesn't make any sense, but it was an inside job with her father. Yeah. A lot of the pieces fall into place really well. It was shot really beautifully. It's just a solid film.
The only thing I wish that we could have seen more was just a little bit callbacks to the prequels without actually showing stuff from it. Yeah. Which you had a little bit. I mean, Jedi temples, all that stuff, the giant Jedi statue. But and the film begins about 15, 16 years earlier than the story actually is. Yeah. You could have easily worked on one or two more things there. But I'm not losing sleep over it.
Yeah, I didn't mind. I think Disney's rightfully not really acknowledging the prequels that much. Because they go after with the new trilogy, with all the Star Wars stories they've announced, it's not going to touch the original or the prequels, excuse me, which is smart in my eyes.
It's smart for now, but you got to think the generation that grew up watching those are just like shortly up behind us, like watching those nonstop though.
Yeah.
Because there is a solid fan base for the prequels. I don't consider myself a prequel fan. I am a fan of the idea of the prequels.
Yeah.
And I like some things that arose from them that I don't actually watch those movies now.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I mean, that's... Thankfully, they're not saying it didn't happen.
Yeah.
There's untapped potential there for them to take it and make it not as shitty.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if they take anything, like, one of the reasons I think this film works so well is because it's like a prequel as, like, a month before A New Hope.
Yeah.
But they embraced what worked, which is almost everything in A New Hope. And it's just, I mean, seeing this talent pull that together, I think it'd be cool to dip into that era. Not even necessarily the prequel era, but shortly after.
Sure.
Like the rise of the Empire.
Yeah.
Dip into that. Show us something weird with that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I don't know.
No.
Just thinking out loud.
Sure. No, I mean, there's lots you could do with the world.
So,
or the universe, I guess.
Yeah.
Cinematic universe.
That's all I was saying. I did like the shout out to your boy Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Yeah, Bail Organa is in the movie. They're like, we need someone... I don't even remember why they brought it up.
They were just
it didn't even really matter.
We need a Jedi to help us destroy the Death Star.
They're like, too bad they're all dead. And he's like, I know one. He's kind of old now, but he's probably on Tatooine.
Yeah. He's like, I forgot what they asked. They were like, should we send a spy? Should we send someone? He's like, I'll send someone who I trust with my life. Yeah. And you're like, damn, that's Leia.
Yeah. So, yeah. And those are the moments that are cool as fans of Star Wars, but those are the things, like when they mentioned Obi-Wan without mentioning Obi-Wan, if you had no idea who Obi-Wan was, you'd probably be like, okay, what's he talking about? I mean, it's just a line to tread.
It is a line, but this is also the 8th film.
Yeah.
9th, if you count the Clone Wars cartoon film. Yeah. And by this point, it's just like, if you're jumping into Rogue One as your first Star Wars movie, cool. Yeah. Enjoy it, but you're at a loss almost. Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah.
The little details just fall apart a little when you take it as a standalone movie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Without acknowledging the rest of the universe.
That's the, like you said, it's a line. Yeah. It's a thin line that they walk, so.
But I thought they did pretty good.
I think so.
No.
I really enjoyed that one of the prequel trilogy characters they can bring back was young Mon Mothma. Young Mon Mothma. Yeah. That actress, she reprised her role. That was cool.
Yeah, and she looks
Jimmy
just like
Smith's,
the current
like you said, Bail Organa.
Yep.
So that was good. That was good callbacks.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's not all there.
Yeah.
There's also a good cameo from the "He Doesn't Like You" guy.
From A New Hope. From A New Hope in the cantina.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, they bump into him on the street.
It was stupid.
Yeah.
But I laughed a lot, and I was like, yeah. And that's kind of like where half these cameos and moments are. You're just like, yeah.
It's just like
Star Wars.
It's just like, yeah, I remember.
That's cool.
Yeah. It feels good when you recognize it. Yeah. You feel like a super fan.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
My last thought is I'm really glad when they got the data for the plans that it was just like a giant hard drive.
Yeah, it's encouraging in today's world when we still use giant hard drives when we feel bad because they feel old.
And then they plug it in, and then when they get the plans, it's just like a mini disc or something.
Yeah, it's like a floppy.
Which is what she used in the original film to put the plans in R2.
Yeah.
So I just really like that tie back.
I like that they were having like satellite issues.
Yeah.
Like aligning their signal. That's still a thing in the Empire. I like that.
Like all that just made me like nervous.
It's like...
I was like, ugh.
It's like, rebels, they're people too.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
That's actually their first slogan they pitched.
Yeah. But then they got labeled as a terrorist organization, and it makes it tougher to market.
Yeah, that's always how it goes.
Yeah. Max, where can the good people find us?
You can find me and Jen Urso stealing Death Star plans at thecriticalbreakdown.com. You can find me and Scott watching Die Hard on Twitter. I'll be tweeting about it at Max Rivera Film, and he'll be tweeting about it
at breakdown_Scott. We also have the Critical Breakdown's Twitter at BreakdownCast.
Yeah, that's a good one. I check it frequently.
Send us an email. Let us know your thoughts on Rogue One. thecriticalbreakdownpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you got for Christmas.
Yeah.
Love to hear it.
Tell us your favorite Christmas movies.
Yeah. What did we forget? We didn't talk about hardly any, but Die Hard. But what did we forget? Leave us a rating and a review on iTunes or Google Play or wherever you're listening.
Jason Brown does our music.
Josh Rivera does our art.
And Walter, a.k.a. Wally, is the podcast dog.
Yeah, he's dressed like a reindeer. And hey, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Scott.
Merry Christmas to you too, Max.
Next week on The Critical Breakdown.
We change everything by watching The Butterfly Effect, rated 33% on Rotten Tomatoes.